Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker, Jeff Marconette Jr. But we have an exciting show for you tonight. It's all about you learning how to use grit and resilience to start living a passionate life, and I think this is very important. So I ask you if you would please share the episode out. Don't forget to give us all kinds of likes, and don't forget to subscribe because we want you to see this show every week. So definitely check her out. This is Ydaiber, and I got her name right too. So this is awesome.
Hi.
Hi, Ydaiber. How are you?
You did get my name right. I am great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I am honored to have somebody with such a unique name on here. So I say thank you for showing up tonight. I know you're a busy woman, so definitely props for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you would like to go through a short introduction about yourself, I'm going to be inviting a few people on my phone to try and get the crowd built up.
Sounds great. So, my name is Ydaiber Orozco. I am originally from Venezuela. I have been in the United States since 1998. So, I feel like my heart is half here and half there since I was raised there. But I now feel like more than half of my life I've been here. So, I am an actor, I am a soul purpose coach. I am a voiceover actor as well. And I am starting my podcast, or I just started my podcast that is launching tomorrow, and it's called Rekindle Your Light. And within my business called Rekindle Your Light, I do several type of services from coaching to human design reading, emotion code, and so forth and so on. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That is amazing. I appreciate the whole actress thing. So have you been in anything that we might have seen?
I think so. If you are a fan of HBO, there is a show called Hacks, and I am there on episode 8.
Woo!
Yeah, that was one of my favorite shows that I ever done. I was also a part of a show called Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. So that was the spin-off of Criminal Minds. And I can't remember the number of the episode, but the name of the episode is La Huesuda, which is associated with La Santa Muerte, which again, perfect timing for Dia de los Muertos tomorrow. So if you can find that episode, that will be a fun one to watch tomorrow for sure. And I
That
done a lot of commercials, and I do voiceover work in commercials as well. So you might have heard my voice, especially if you watch Spanish TV.
Man, sounds like you've done a lot of work. I find that to be amazing all in itself. So
Thanks.
I'm definitely honored to have an actress or a voiceover person here on my show. I find that to be really cool. Hi Nina, it's good to see you tonight. But so I have to ask, what this episode is called, how did you use grit and resilience to help you live a passionate life? So why did you have to use grit and resilience? I mean, what happened that caused you to do that?
Yes, a lot of things. Everything began with the loss of my sister back in the year 2000. I had just been in the United States for a few months, and that was probably the most devastating thing I ever gone through. And it was shocking. It was not expected. She ended up being in a car accident, and losing her was the beginning of me trying. It took me a long time to actually me trying to do something else besides to what I was doing. So at first, I approached these laws with a lot of just work. I'm just going to work. I'm just going to work. And I was not processing my emotions. So what happened is, and this is to make a very long story short, in the year 2016, then I lost my brother. and I lost him also in a car accident. And when this happened, you stop and you think and you reflect and you say, well, there has to be a lesson in this that I have to learn. And I started my spiritual journey during that time and trying to connect with more of my inner wisdom and my resilience, and knowing that I was being put through this because I needed to grow as a human being. This has nothing to do with my acting or the external life that people would perceive, my validation from the outside world, but it was just a very inner experience that I was going through. And then in 2021, I lost my dad. And losing my dad was probably the biggest catalyst to the way that I'm living my life now. When I lost my father, it was the first time after having to go through these different losses that I realized that I had a bigger purpose. That by me being willing to get up every day, despite the way that I was feeling, by by inspiring people, by sharing myself in a vulnerable place, I was giving voice to a lot of other people that perhaps were feeling depressed or sad or something that might have been affecting them in a way that they thought they couldn't recover from. And I was there to show them that it was possible, that it is possible. So my purpose changed to that. My purpose changed to wanting to be someone that creates impact in other people. And I use every bone in my body to tell me keep going. And of course, I did this with a lot of support, and I'm very fortunate to have a very loving husband and a very loving mother who took me, who they just pretty much kept me up during that time, and a circle of friends who were surrounding me during those times as well. But I do know also that there's something that I have, that we all have access to if we want to, that is my inner strength. And I knew that even if I didn't have any support around, or even if I had all the support in the world, at the end of the day, it was all going to depend on me. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I did.
I have realized that everything is really on us. Yes, I know that a lot of people have higher powers, whatever they want to call them, but you can pray for stuff all you want, but unless you make the change, is it really going to happen?
Yeah. So that's the thing. The moment that you realize that it's on you, then you start connecting back to that voice that we all have within us that is telling us that it's time to do more, that it's time to show up better, that it's time to show up fully. Because I think we have gotten so used to showing only a side of us that sometimes people are not expecting the full story. And I lead with my story. I don't hide my feelings. I show up with my heart in my sleeve, and I tell people, your voice matters, your story matters. Therefore, because I say that, I have to show up like that as well. So it does. So it does matter at the end of the day, you making a decision to wanting not only the change, but the growth. And the growth could be very painful.
Yeah.
But you still make the decision of getting through it.
Yeah.
And feeling the feelings and accepting the emotions and accepting that it sucks. What I went through, or what I have gone through, is not something that has been easy by any means, but I cannot stay in a victim state of mind. I have to, put my big girl pants on and say, okay, life keep going, keep pushing through and make it purposeful.
What helped you to realize that if it is to be, it's on you, that you had to take responsibility for your own life?
I think, there was one day when I was feeling really down, when I was feeling really sorry for myself. And I remember I didn't want to get up and I just want to stay in bed. And my husband grab me and say, okay, babe, you got to get this done. You got to get up. I know you can do this. And sitting there and feeling almost angry was an expectation that people had of me to be well, and having to go back to work 3 days after, because that's all the time that they gave me to grieve, and being asked to perform at a level previous to what I was. And I felt I was so angry and resentful to what the world expects us to be at, that I said, this is my opportunity to bring compassion into what I'm going through, and also own the fact that I might not be ready, or I might not be at the level that people expect me to be, and push against that expectation. And I think that's when I knew, or that's when I realized that I had the power to ask for what I need, and that I have the power to be vulnerable and strong at the same time. So one thing doesn't have to be exempt from the other. It's like they can coexist. I can be sad and angry and upset, and I can also be joyful, and I can also embrace the life that my dad had and that my siblings had, and that I can also celebrate them, and I can also mourn them, and I can also perform at a not great place today because I don't feel fully well. And then another day I can be back to where I was. So giving myself permission. So it's a responsibility with that permission to do the things that I felt my heart was asking me to do.
All right. Wow. That I like that. Your heart gives you permission to do things.
Mm-hmm.
That is powerful all in itself right there. So I would like to extend a hello to Ben Bruce, who's watching us from Nigeria tonight. He's at work, I believe, in Lagos, Nigeria. And then we also have Diana, and we have Robin Lococo. So those are two awesome ladies. So we thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, don't feel bad if you put them in the comments. Actually, I encourage that. And if you are loving this conversation, please press the number 1, and I would love to see that also. But Ben Bruce says that's pretty awesome. And he is still at work till 6 a.m. Ugh. Oh, props, man. Props. But so I have to ask, how old were you when you started losing all these people?
I was only 24. My sister was 19. So it was only a 1923. So a 4-year gap. And then in 2016, I was already in my 30s. And then now that I lost my dad, I was in my 40s. So it's been definitely, I think that's why also the way that I confronted each loss was so differently, because I was at a very different space emotionally, mentally, physically, than when I was, when I had the first loss. And I think that if I had the tools that I have now when I lost my sister, I think I would have probably coped better. But I didn't have any tools. I come from a Latino family. Hispanics, we are very passionate, and when we lose someone, it's all about that, heavy pain, and we do things a little differently than the way that we do things here when it comes to a funeral, or even those things are so dramatically different, or at least my perception of it was so different, that I didn't have an opportunity to grieve back then. And I think that that's why it took me so long. And it was actually acting which started to giving me back some hope. Finding acting again, reconnecting with my creativity was what allowed me to start processing those emotions.
That's good. I find that using your creativity, it's a really helpful thing when you are going through something, because you can focus on that one thing, and you don't, your focus doesn't go away from that one thing when you're trying to create something. And when you focus on one thing, you're not focusing on all the other things that are going on in your life.
Yes, or even you can use the things that are going on in your life to fuel that creativity, like
Yeah.
somehow like channeling that pain in different ways. And for me, acting was that platform. It just allowed me to express my emotions without any shame, because it was a character, so I could do whatever, right? So it was almost like a safe space for me to express my emotions. Now I am a lot more accustomed to that expression. And like I say, that expression is a lot more authentic now. It comes easier. I can talk about these things in a public forum. I never, ever did this before, where I would share my stories. Only in the last couple of months that I've been talking about it.
I'm proud of you. That is a sign of growth
Yes.
and of strength and of resilience and of grit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the title of this. So that was pretty cool. I brought it all back to the title. But so, oh geez, I have to ask though, what taught you to be so grateful and resilient in your life?
I think my parents, I definitely live by their example. My mom is a woman who used to work 3 jobs. She's 67 and she still works a lot.
Wow.
She has this strength, this inner strength that is also at the same time soft and beautiful. It's not something that she imposes in people. It's something that she just leads with love, but there's a strength there. And I think when my sister passed, the expectation around my family was, you have to be strong. No, that's what people tell you. You have to be strong. You have to be strong. And it was so annoying for me to hear that, because again, I was not given the opportunity to do my grieving. So it's almost like I had to take care of my parents. And with my dad was someone who didn't really got involved in expressing emotions. It was very difficult for him to be vulnerable, to talk about these things. I know how much he suffered, especially when my brother passed. And when I attempted to have these conversations with him, he wouldn't have it. But yet he kept going and he kept making jokes. My dad lived his life with a humor that led him. Anybody who met my father, they would say, oh, he was so funny.
Yeah.
And that is a way to kind of put your feelings down and don't have to show your true emotions. So that was, to me, was like his defense mechanism. Humor
Uh,
was.
yeah, that's like one of mine also. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to be funny when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I saw that, but I was also in awe that he was able to keep going despite this terrible loss that has left him completely empty-handed, because I was living in the United States. My dad was still in Venezuela, and my dad had already lost my sister and now my brother, and he lost everything. It was devastating. Yet he kept going, yet he kept making people happy. He kept trying to help people. And I think that's something that is very innate in me, because I saw it from both of my parents. My mom used to be a principal back in Venezuela. My mom lives now here in the United States. And she used to be all about the students, all about helping these people. And I got that now. I that's what I want to do. I want to create impact. I want to help people. I want to help people see their inner strength and inner light and inner resilience and inner grit, because we all have it. It's just a matter of reconnecting with that.
That is so good. I like that. We're all that kind of a person. We just need to reconnect with that.
Mhm.
And so what is the best way for people to reconnect with that?
I think the best way is to begin to peeling the layers, right? Because think about it like an onion. You start peeling an onion and there's layers and layers and layers. So that's what
Yeah, I'm gonna cry now because the onion.
so that's what we've done with our heart. We have protected our heart by putting layers and layers of protection. And so we got to start by peeling them little by little so that we can connect with that true essence again. You start peeling them by removing limiting beliefs, by removing false stories about who we are or who we were told to be, and start connecting to that essence and that authenticity. Because you and I can do the same thing, Jeff. I mean, we do. You have a podcast, I have a podcast, but nobody's going to do it like you, and nobody's going to do it like me.
Yeah, because I'm a star.
Exactly. And I am in my own side as well. But the point is that doesn't matter what we do, it's about how we do it. What do we bring to the table? How much are we willing to share of who we truly are? So reconnecting with that essence, with that authenticity, start rewriting those limitations that we've been told that, let's say women after 40 are not supposed to be successful anymore. And I'm like, or they're not supposed to be sexy anymore. And it's like, really? No, question those things, challenge those things, so that we can unapologetically show up and be like, well, I'm going to prove you differently just because I know who I am and I don't need anybody to confirm or deny who I am.
That's great. And I like that you use the things to compare them to your life. And you said that women aren't supposed to be sexy or successful after 40, but you're saying that you have said those things just aren't true.
They're not. There's a lot of thoughts that have been given to us that are not our thoughts, that are not our beliefs. We've just been told these things. I remember when I was growing up that there was this thing where, like, oh, when you get to a certain age, you're not supposed to have long hair. And I'm like, what? Why? And there's this perception of like, oh, women are not supposed to do this. And so I think I have challenged these things throughout my life. This is not something new that I just started doing. I think even as a little girl, I would ask a lot of whys. I would say, why? Why not?
Well, all kids do. They're like, why? Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but that's the thing, as you grow older, sometimes you stop asking because you just start just accepting what society's telling you.
Yeah. And we need to ask why more often, I think.
Yeah.
That's just why.
Why? Because only that way we can make our own point of view. Because
why?
Because if we don't ask why, then we're just accepting what everybody else is telling us. And sometimes even what people are telling us about ourselves. And nobody's going to know the way we know ourselves. So why would I take somebody else's opinion about who I am instead of creating my own?
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
There's so many, but I would say that those who are certain of the outcome will do the things they want to do without anxiety, without rushing things, because there is a time and a place for everything that we want to come together. So it's about allowing divine timing to play in our favor.
All right. So would you say that you have found that divine time to live your most passionate life?
I'm still on it. This is a never-ending journey. But I think that what it has done for me, that having those thoughts, is that takes a little bit of the pressure from having an unrealistic expectation. As an actor, for example, I had a very different vision than what my career has been. Of course,
Mm.
we have big dreams and we think that the big dreams are going to happen right away, and that I was going to move to New York and things were going to happen, and I was going to move to LA and now things were going to happen. And I've been in Los Angeles for almost 10 years now, and things have not happened the way that I pictured them at all, and I think even that has been a gift, because it has allowed me to continue to reinvent myself and continue to look for the things that I'm supposed to be doing. If I had had a successful acting career right off the bat, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I would have been too busy or too distracted for it. But because it didn't happen on my line terms, then I was like, oh, okay, let me explore other things too that give me joy, that make me happy. And when I started doing that, the acting opportunities started coming, because it's almost like now I was allowing versus trying to push. So, yeah, no, it hasn't fully happened, because they're still happening, but I do feel good about the direction that my life has gone, and I am a very passionate person, and I do live a full purposeful life. And somebody recently asked me, if you got to do anything you wanted to do in life, what would you be doing? And I'm like, exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. That makes me so happy, just to hear that you're doing what you want to do.
Mhm.
And a lot of people in life don't get to do what they want to do. And I am doing exactly what I want to do. I might not be doing as much of it as I would like to be doing, but I'm doing this podcast. I've been doing this podcast for over, well, it'll be, yeah, it's actually 6 years tonight. You're on the anniversary show. But and then, as you can see there, I've been speaking, and that's actually from Nairobi, Kenya. And I have a thing somewhere from Guyana, South America. Oh, it's right there. That's from Guyana, South America. And I've spoken all kinds of places. Now, just like you said, it might not be happening the exact way that I saw it, but it's happening.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be. I'm doing something that is a dream.
Mm. I love that. I love that. Like you said, I don't think not a lot of people get to say that. And I think that's my invitation to anybody who's listening, to find out what is that thing and at what capacity can you do it. Because maybe we don't have access to all the resources we want, but maybe we can start by taking just a class, just starting to get curious about what's that thing. And a good way to sometimes ask us that question is trying to remember what was those things that we were doing when we were younger, that the time could pass and you could be there for hours and you would forget to eat and you would forget to sleep and nothing mattered. You were so into it. And I think that's usually a great indication that you're doing something that matters to you. So there is ways to always do what we want, even if it's at our own unique scale. Not everything has to be, Hollywood. There's ways for us to do the things that we want to do.
Yes. And I well, I hate to cut this conversation short because I find it to be very valuable, but I like to keep it on time, the show on time. So I have to ask now, do you have any contact information you would like to give out?
Yes. So you can either find me on social media under my first name, Ydaiber. Again, I'm the only person in the world with this name. So it's easy to find me. And I also have a website where I present all my offerings in there. So if you have questions about a particular service that I offer, that is the place to find me. And it's called Rekindle Your Light, rekindleyourlight.com. That's it.
rekindleyourlight.com.
There you
All
go.
right, that's good. So look her up on social media. Her name is Ydaiber. It's spelled Ydaiber. Orozco, and that you'll find her, and then your rekindleyourlight.com, correct?
Correct. And the name
All
of the
right.
podcast is the same, Rekindle Your Light.
All right, Rekindle Your Light. Check out that podcast, guys. And how can people check that podcast out?
You can find it on Spotify or on Apple Podcast. The trailer is up both in English and in Spanish. And the first round of episodes come out tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Good job. I'm proud of you for doing that. And I'm proud of you for following your passion in life.
Thank you, Jeff. Likewise. This was
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You have a great night.
You too.
And everybody out there, including you, Ydaiber, have to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. You have to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds will run out on your one life. I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But until then, make every second count. See ya.